I need your help, Jess. This could be huge for both of us. Nash's voice carried that familiar urgency, the kind that always preceded trouble. He stood in my home office, designer suit perfectly pressed, flashing that $1 million smile that had gotten him out of trouble since we were kids. I'm Jessica, and I've spent 32 years living in my brother's shadow. Even now, watching him pace across my carefully curated workspace, I could feel myself shrinking back into that familiar role. The reliable sister, the family safety net, the eternal second place. How much? I asked, already knowing this conversation would end with numbers. 200,000. He didn't even flinch saying it. It's for this amazing investment opportunity. Tech startup, ground floor. We could double it in 6 months. I nearly choked on my coffee. That's my entire savings, Nash. Everything I've put aside from the last decade. Come on, sis. He perched on the edge of my desk, casually moving aside the industry awards I'd worked so hard to earn. When have I ever steered you wrong? Would you like that list alphabetically or chronologically? I tried to joke, but memories flooded back. The college fund he'd borrowed for his failed record label, the maxed out credit card he'd opened in my name during his entrepreneurial phase. Mom and Dad are already in, he continued, ignoring my sarcasm. They see the potential. This is different, Jess. I'm different. My phone buzzed, a text from Blair. Don't forget dinner tonight. Got major tea to spill. I smiled, grateful for the reminder that someone in my life actually valued my time. Let me think about it, I said, turning back to Nash. He stood up, straightening his jacket. The opportunity closes end of week. Just don't take too long, okay? I came to you first because I believe in you, sis. That night at dinner, I told Blair about Nash's visit. We sat in her cozy apartment, takeout containers spread between us. Absolutely not, Blair said, chopsticks freezing midair. Tell me you're not considering it. Mom called right after he left, said it could be my chance to finally contribute something meaningful to the family legacy. I stabbed at my noodles. You should have heard her. Nash has such vision, darling. He's going places. Your mother still thinks Instagram is called the Instagram, Blair pointed out. What does she know about tech startups? My phone lit up with a text from Dad. Your brother tells me you're being difficult about the investment. Don't let pride get in the way of family. See? I showed Blair the message. They're all in on it. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong. The last time they were all in on something, it was Nash's cryptocurrency restaurant. You remember how that ended? I did remember. Dad had to pull strings to keep it out of the papers. Patricia from the networking group warned me about rushing into investments, I said, remembering my mentor's advice. Said to always do due diligence. Smart woman, Blair nodded. So why aren't you listening to her? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Nash again. Hey sis, great news. I just spoke to the investors. They're so impressed with our family's interest that they're offering us an early bird bonus. But we need to move fast. Can you wire the money tomorrow? I felt that familiar tightness in my chest, the weight of family expectations crushing my common sense. I'll need to see the business plan first. Don't you trust me? His voice carried a hint of hurt. After everything we've been through, it's not about trust, Nash. It's about being smart with my money. Your money? He laughed. Come on, Jess. We both know most of that came from Dad's connections anyway. Stop playing businesswoman and help your family for once. The words stung because they weren't entirely false. Dad's influence had opened doors, but I'd worked myself to exhaustion walking through them. I'll think about it, I repeated, ending the call. Blair watched me with concern. You're going to give him the money, aren't you? I looked down at my phone, now lighting up with a family group chat message from Mom. Jessica, darling, don't keep your brother waiting. This could be such a wonderful opportunity for you to show your support. Maybe he's right, I said quietly. Maybe this is my chance to prove I'm not just the family disappointment. Blair reached across the table, squeezing my hand. You're not a disappointment, Jess. You're just the only one who sees through his act. But as I drove home that night, Nash's words echoed in my head. The family legacy, the doubled investment, the chance to finally earn their approval. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I'd already drafted the transfer email to my bank. Sometimes the hardest person to protect yourself from is family. I was about to learn that lesson the hard way. 3 months after transferring my life savings to Nash, I sat in my car outside his favorite restaurant, staring at my phone in disbelief. The Instagram post showed him lounging on a yacht in the Maldives, champagne in hand, with the caption, "Living the entrepreneur life, blessed." My hands shook as I dialed his number, straight to voicemail, again. Still nothing? Blair asked from the passenger seat. She'd insisted on coming with me after I'd shown her the post. 37 unanswered calls, I said. But hey, at least he has time to post vacation photos. Let's go in, Blair suggested, nodding toward the restaurant. The hostess always knows where to find him. Inside, Maria's face lit up with recognition. Jessica, haven't seen you in ages. Nash was just here yesterday with his friends, celebrating something about a new penthouse. My stomach dropped. Penthouse? Oh, yes, in that new luxury building downtown. He was showing everyone the keys. Such a beautiful place. I thanked her and walked out, Blair rushing to keep up. The tech startup money had bought my brother a penthouse and tropical vacations, while I'd been eating ramen and picking up freelance work to make rent. I know where he lives, Blair said, pulling up her phone. My client's sister is the building's leasing agent. Want to pay Big Brother a visit? 30 minutes later, we stood in a marble lobby that probably cost more than my annual salary. The concierge eyed us suspiciously until I mentioned I was Nash's sister. His expression immediately softened. Mr. Robertson is in the penthouse. Would you like me to announce you? No need, I smiled. I'll surprise him. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. When the doors opened, I heard music and laughter spilling from behind a massive door. I pressed the doorbell. The music lowered and footsteps approached. Nash opened the door, drink in hand, his smile faltering when he saw me. Jess, what are you doing here? I pushed past him into an apartment that looked like it belonged in a luxury magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, designer furniture dotted the space, and a group of people lounged around a marble bar. Nice place, I said, my voice trembling. The tech startup must be doing well. His friends fell silent, watching us with interest. Let's talk outside, Nash said, trying to guide me toward the door. I jerked away from his grip. No, let's talk right here. Where's my money, Nash? Keep your voice down, he hissed. You're embarrassing yourself. I'm embarrassing myself? I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. You stole my life savings. One of his friends cleared their throat. Maybe we should go. No, stay. I turned to them. You should hear how he convinced his sister to invest in a fake startup while he blew the money on this place in luxury vacations. Nash's face darkened. That's enough. You're drunk. I wish I was drunk. Then maybe this wouldn't hurt so much. I pulled out my phone, showing him the screenshots I'd collected. The yacht, the penthouse, the parties, all with my money. Where's the startup, Nash? Where's the investment? His friends were already gathering their things, mumbling awkward goodbyes as they slipped out. Once we were alone, Nash's charming facade crumbled. What did you expect, Jess? You've always been so naive, so desperate for approval. I gave you what you wanted, a chance to feel important. I want my money back. He laughed. It's gone, spent, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll go to the police. With what proof? You willingly transferred the money. Mom and Dad will back me up. They always do. Face it, sis. You got played. Blair, who'd been quietly filming everything on her phone, stepped forward. We'll see what the family says when they hear this conversation. Nash's smirk didn't waver. They already know. Why do you think they encouraged her to invest? They're tired of her embarrassing attempts at independence. At least this way, someone in the family could put the money to good use. The truth hit me like a physical blow. They'd known. All along, they'd known. You're right about one thing, I said, my voice steady despite the tears threatening to fall. I was naive, but not about business, about family. I turned to leave, but Nash called after me. Don't act so righteous, Jess. You wanted to belong so badly, you would have given me the money even if you'd known the truth. That's your problem. You're pathetic. Blair grabbed my arm before I could respond. He's not worth it. Let's go. In the elevator, I finally let the tears fall. I'm ruined, Blair. That money was everything I had. She hugged me tightly. No, you have something better now. You have clarity. And trust me, we're going to make him regret this. Looking at my reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls, I wiped away my tears. Nash was right about one thing. I'd been naive, but never again. It was time to show my family exactly what their overlooked daughter could do. You're not answering your parents' calls, Patricia said, sliding a coffee across her office desk to me. 1 month had passed since the confrontation with Nash, and I'd been avoiding my family like the plague. They left 23 voicemails asking why I'm causing drama in the family. I replied, taking a sip. Apparently, I'm being unreasonable about Nash's business decision. Patricia, my mentor from the local entrepreneurs network, leaned back in her chair. So what's your plan, besides hiding in my office during lunch breaks? I'd met Patricia at a networking event 3 years ago. While everyone else had flocked to hear Nash's charismatic pitches, she'd been the only one to see through his BS and take an interest in my actual business experience. I'm thinking of selling my car, I said. Should cover next month's rent at least. Or, Patricia pulled out her laptop, you could turn that marketing expertise of yours into something bigger. Look at this. She showed me a spreadsheet of small businesses struggling with their online presence. These are all my clients. They need help, but I'm swamped. Take them on, build your portfolio, and we'll split the profits 70-30 in your favor. I stared at the screen. I can't ask you to. You're not asking. I'm offering. Because unlike your family, I've seen what you can do. She turned the laptop toward me. The question is, are you ready to prove them wrong? That night, I sat at my kitchen table with Blair, surrounded by empty pizza boxes and business plans. Social media management for small businesses, Blair read from my notes. You're really doing this? Patricia's giving me my first 10 clients. I showed her the proposals I'd drafted. If I can turn their online presence around, word of mouth will do the rest. And the startup costs? I patted my ancient laptop. Just this and Wi-Fi. I'll work from home until I can afford an office. Blair grinned. Look who's finally becoming a girl boss. Please never say that again. My phone buzzed. Mom calling for the 24th time. I declined the call. You'll have to talk to them eventually, Blair said softly. When I'm ready. Right now, I need to focus on this. The next few weeks became a blur of 18-hour workdays. I transformed my spare bedroom into an office, covering the walls with client schedules and content calendars. Patricia's referrals turned into success stories, and those success stories turned into referrals of their own. Your campaign doubled my bookings. My client Sarah hugged me after our monthly review. How much would it cost to hire you full-time? I don't work in-house, I explained, but I could take on more hours for your account. Even better, and I'm telling everyone about you. 3 months in, I was juggling 20 clients and had hired my first virtual assistant. The irony wasn't lost on me. I was building the kind of startup Nash had pretended to create. You need to see this, Blair texted one evening, sending a link to Nash's Instagram. The post showed him at some charity gala, arm around a stunning woman. The caption read, "Big news coming soon. Can't wait to share this next chapter with my amazing Bailey. Not a blessed, yet power couple." He's dating a social media influencer, Blair explained in her next text. Her father owns half the luxury hotels downtown. I clicked through to Bailey's profile. Verified, 2 million followers, and a feed full of perfectly curated lifestyle posts. She seemed exactly Nash's type. Wealthy, connected, and probably unaware of his true nature. Should we warn her? Blair asked when she came over later. I shook my head, focusing on my work laptop. Not our circus, not our monkeys. Speaking of circus, Blair hesitated. Your mom's been asking about you at the country club. Says you're breaking her heart by shutting out the family. Funny how my broken bank account didn't seem to bother her as much as my broken contact. My phone lit up with a text from Patricia. Just landed 3 major restaurant chains as clients. Need someone to handle their social media strategy. Interested? I smiled, typing back an immediate yes. You know, Blair said, watching me work. For someone who lost everything, you're doing pretty well for yourself. I didn't lose everything, I corrected her. I lost money, but I gained something more valuable: motivation. My laptop pinged with a notification. Another glowing client review, another referral, another step toward rebuilding what Nash had taken. The best revenge is success, Patricia had told me. Looking at my growing client list and steadily recovering savings account, I was starting to believe her. But deep down, I knew success alone wouldn't be enough. Nash had taken more than money. He'd taken my trust, my security, my place in the family. And someday, when the time was right, I'd make sure he understood exactly what that felt like. For now, though, I had work to do. My empire wasn't going to build itself. Your brother's engaged, Blair announced, bursting into my office 6 months after I'd started my business. It's all over social media. I glanced up from my dual monitors, where I'd been managing campaigns for 30-plus clients. Let me guess, Bailey said yes? Better. Blair perched on my desk, turning her phone toward me. They're planning the wedding of the century at her father's newest hotel. Every influencer and socialite in the city is talking about it. The post showed Nash and Bailey on a private beach, her massive diamond ring catching the sunset. The caption read, "She said yes, can't wait to spend forever with my soulmate. Love wins. Power couple." Interesting timing, I mused, returning to my work. Right when my business is taking off. That's not all. Blair scrolled through her phone. The guest list is insane. Half of your clients' competitors will be there. That got my attention. What do you mean? Bailey's father isn't just invited the social elite. He's invited every major business owner in the city. It's basically a networking event disguised as a wedding. I leaned back in my chair, wheels turning. Including the Thompson Hotel Group? They're on the list. Why? Because they've been trying to poach my biggest client for months. I pulled up my calendar, and I have a meeting with their marketing director next week. Blair's eyes widened. You're not thinking of using my brother's wedding to expand my business? Why not? He used my money to build his connections. Speaking of money, Blair hesitated. Have you seen the registry? They're asking for cash gifts. Minimum suggestion is $5,000. I laughed. Bold of them to assume I'd be invited. As if on cue, my phone chimed with an email. The subject line read, "Wedding invitation, Nash and Bailey." Dear Jessica, I read aloud, your presence is requested at the celebration of Nash and Bailey's union. Mom insists you attend. Time to put the past behind us and be family again. Love, Dad. Blair snorted. They're not even trying to apologize? They never do. I closed the email. Besides, I couldn't afford their minimum gift requirement anyway, thanks to the groom. What if? Blair's voice took on that tone she used when hatching a plan. What if you could afford it? What if you could afford way more than that? I raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. The Thompson meeting next week. If you land them, that's a six-figure contract. Add that to your other clients. I'd have enough to make quite an entrance. I finished her thought. But why would I want to? Because every major player in the city will be there, because Nash thinks you're still broken, and because, she grinned wickedly, I may have heard through the grapevine that Bailey has no idea about what happened to your money. My phone rang, Patricia calling. Tell me you've seen the wedding news, she said when I answered. Just got my invitation. Perfect. Listen, the Thompson meeting? Move it up. I just had drinks with their CEO. They're desperate to modernize their image before the wedding. Something about impressing Bailey's father. I put the phone on speaker. How desperate? Desperate enough to triple their initial budget. Land this account and you'll be playing in the big leagues. Blair was practically bouncing. See? It's destiny. After hanging up, I pulled up Nash's engagement post again. The comments were flowing in. Congratulations from verified accounts, business owners, and socialites. My parents had both commented with heart emojis. You know what the best part is? Blair said, reading over my shoulder. They have no idea how successful you've become. Your clients sign NDAs. Your company operates under a brand name, and you've stayed off social media. She was right. While Nash had been flaunting his stolen lifestyle, I'd been quietly building an empire. None of my family knew that half the trending restaurants and hotels in the city now relied on my company for their digital presence. The wedding's in 3 months, I said, pulling up my project management software. If I land Thompson next week, you'll walk in there as one of the most powerful marketing forces in the city. Blair finished. Imagine Nash's face when he realizes what you've built while he was playing with your money. I started typing out a reply to the invitation. Dear Dad, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Please tell Nash I'll be bringing a +1 and a wedding gift he'll never forget. You're really doing this? Blair asked. I hit send. Nash taught me an expensive lesson about family and business. It's time to show him what I learned. Should I be worried about how calm you are? I smiled, turning back to my work. The time for anger is past. Now it's just business. I paused, looking at the engagement photo again. Although I do think Bailey deserves to know exactly what kind of man she's marrying. Don't you? Blair pulled up a chair. Tell me everything you're planning. The pieces were falling into place. Nash had no idea that his perfect wedding was about to become the backdrop for his biggest nightmare. The truth. The Thompson Group just signed, I announced, walking into Patricia's office. 3-year contract, full digital marketing package. Patricia's face lit up. I knew you could do it. That's what, your 4th major hotel chain this month? 5th, I handed her the contract. And they've already paid the first quarter in advance. Just in time for the wedding of the century, she smirked. Speaking of which, have you met the bride yet? As if summoned by our conversation, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Hi, Jessica. It's Bailey. Would love to grab coffee with my future sister-in-law. Nash says you're amazing with social media. Could use your expertise for wedding planning. I showed Patricia the message. Looks like I'm about to. 2 hours later, I sat across from Bailey at an upscale cafe. She was exactly as her Instagram suggested, perfectly polished, camera ready, and radiating influencer energy. Your brother talks about you constantly, she gushed, stirring her oat milk latte. Says you're the smartest person he knows. I nearly choked on my coffee. Did he mention what happened to my savings? Oh, the tech startup. She nodded sympathetically. Nash told me all about it. Such a shame it didn't work out, but he says you've bounced back amazingly. Something about freelance work? I studied her face carefully. What exactly did Nash tell you about the startup? That you both invested, but the market crashed. He felt terrible about losing your money. She reached across the table, squeezing my hand. But that's all in the past. We want you to be part of our special day. My phone pinged with another client notification. Actually, I'd love to hear more about what Nash has told you. Why don't you come by my office tomorrow? Your office? She looked confused. Nash said you worked from home. Things change. I handed her my business card. Sleek, minimalist, with my company's logo. I'm free at 2. The next day, Bailey stood in my downtown office, staring at the wall of client logos and press features. I don't understand. These are all your clients? Every major hotel and restaurant campaign you've seen in the past year? That was me. I pulled up some analytics on my screen, including your father's newest property. She sank into a chair. But Nash says a lot of things. I opened my desk drawer, pulling out the documentation I'd gathered over the past months. Would you like to know what really happened to my investment? An hour later, Bailey sat silent, tears smudging her perfect makeup as she looked through bank statements, screenshots, and the video from the penthouse confrontation. He used your money to buy our first date, she whispered, looking at the timestamps. The yacht trip where he proposed, that was your money too? The question is, I leaned forward, what are you going to do with this information? She wiped her eyes, suddenly looking very young. The wedding's in 6 weeks. Everyone's invested so much. My father's reputation? I'm not asking you to cancel the wedding. I handed her a tissue. I'm just making sure you enter this marriage with your eyes open. Why are you showing me this now? Because someone showed me the truth too late. I closed the folders. And because you seem like someone who deserves better than what Nash did to me. Bailey stood up, gathering her designer bag. I need time to think. Take all the time you need. But Bailey, I called as she reached the door. Whatever you decide, I'll be at that wedding. After she left, Blair called. How did it go? The seed is planted. I watched Bailey's car pull away through my office window. Now we wait. And if she tells Nash, then phase 2 begins early. I pulled up my calendar, checking the wedding date. Either way, in 6 weeks, everyone will know the truth. My phone lit up with a text from Mom. Darling, Bailey seemed upset after meeting you. Please don't ruin this for your brother. He's worked so hard. I typed back, Don't worry, Mom. I'm just getting started. That evening, as I worked late in my office, another message came through, from Bailey. I asked Nash about the yacht trip. He got angry, said I was being paranoid, called you a jealous failure. But I saw his face when I mentioned the penthouse. You were telling the truth, weren't you? I replied, Ask him about the registry money, where he plans to put it. 3 dots appeared as she typed. Then, already did. He said something about another investment opportunity. God, I feel so stupid. You're not stupid, I wrote back. You're just the latest target. Question is, what are you going to do about it? Her response came immediately. I want in on whatever you're planning. He needs to face consequences. I smiled, typing, Come by the office tomorrow. We have a wedding to discuss. Nash had no idea, but his perfect society wedding was about to become a very public reckoning, and this time I wasn't the only one he'd have to answer to. The wedding's in 3 days, Blair said, pacing my office. Are you sure Bailey won't crack? I glanced at my phone, where Bailey's latest text glowed. He's asking about the registry money again. I'm sticking to the plan. She'll hold, I replied. She has more reason to than anyone. The past 3 weeks had revealed the full scope of Nash's deceptions. Bailey had discovered multiple hidden credit cards, a secret apartment, and plans to invest their wedding gifts in another phantom business venture. My intercom buzzed. Miss Robertson, your brother is here to see you. I straightened my designer blazer, paid for with my own hard-earned money this time. Send him up. Blair grabbed her bag. That's my cue to leave. Don't kill him before the wedding. Nash strode in moments later, his confidence faltering slightly as he took in my corner office with its city views. Nice place, he said, trying to maintain his usual swagger. Didn't expect this from a freelancer. I'm full of surprises. I gestured to a chair. What brings you here? Mom's worried. Says you've been filling Bailey's head with lies. He settled into the chair, crossing his legs. Had to see for myself what you've been up to. Funny, I didn't think you cared what I was up to. Come on, Jess. He flashed that familiar smile. We're family. Of course I care. Like you cared about my savings? His smile tightened. Ancient history. I'm here to offer an olive branch. Bailey and I want you to give a toast at the wedding. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Bailey wants that? She suggested it. He leaned forward. Look, I know things got messy with the investment, but I'm different now. Getting married, settling down. Maybe I could even throw some business your way. My laptop pinged with a notification. Another major client signing on. I think I'm doing fine without your help. Nash's eyes narrowed at the sound. What exactly are you playing at, Jess? First, you poison Bailey against me. Now this mysterious success. What's your angle? No angle, just business. Business? He scoffed. Please, you're nothing without family connections. Who would hire you? I pulled up my client portfolio on the screen behind me. Nash's face paled as he recognized logo after logo. Apparently, I smiled. Quite a few people. He stood abruptly. If you're trying to sabotage my wedding, sit down, Nash. My voice carried an authority that surprised us both. I haven't even started yet. He sank back into the chair. What do you want? Money? I can pay you back once Bailey and I... Once you what? Steal her family's money too. His face darkened. Be very careful, Jess. You're not the only one who can reveal secrets. You mean like the secret apartment, the hidden credit cards, or maybe the plans for the wedding registry money? I watched his confidence crack. Bailey already knows everything. You're bluffing. I played the video from my security camera, showing Bailey in this same office, crying as she discovered the truth. Nash jumped up. You had no right. I had every right. And in 3 days, at your perfect society wedding, everyone else will have the right to know too. You wouldn't dare. But his voice trembled. Mom and Dad would never forgive you. Their forgiveness stopped mattering the day they helped you steal my money. I stood walking to the door. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a toast to write. Wait. He grabbed my arm. What will it take to keep you quiet? Name your price. I pulled free. That's your problem, Nash. You think everything has a price. Some things are priceless, like watching you finally face consequences. You're making a mistake, he called as I opened the door. I'll tell everyone about how you failed, how Dad had to bail you out. Go ahead. I gestured to my office. My success speaks for itself. Can you say the same? After he left, my phone buzzed with a text from Bailey. He just called, sounds scared. What happened? Phase 1 complete, I replied. Ready for Phase 2? Ready. Just got the final guest list. Everyone who's anyone will be there. I smiled, opening my laptop to finalize my toast. The words flowed easily now, fueled by years of suppressed truth. Blair called moments later. Nash just stormed past me in the lobby. What did you do? Gave him a preview of what's coming. I saved the toast document. How's the video compilation looking? All set. Every receipt, every transaction, every lie. Ready to play on the reception screens. I looked out my office window at the city below. Somewhere out there, Nash was probably scrambling to damage control, not realizing it was already too late. 3 days, I told Blair. In 3 days, everyone will know exactly who Nash really is. And you're ready for the fallout? I touched my screen, where my company's latest earnings report showed numbers that would make even my father's jaw drop. I'm not the one who needs to worry about falling. The wedding reception glittered with wealth and influence. Crystal chandeliers cast golden light over tables of society's elite, while waiters circulated with champagne worth more than my first car. Nash stood at the head table, the picture of success in his designer tuxedo, while Bailey sat beside him, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. Ready? Blair whispered, adjusting my midnight blue gown. Born ready. I gripped my champagne flute, catching Bailey's subtle nod from across the room. Mom intercepted me before I could reach the microphone. Darling, you look lovely, though perhaps a bit overdressed. She eyed my couture dress, paid for with my latest contract bonus. Thanks, Mom. Wouldn't want to embarrass the family, right? The wedding planner signaled it was time for speeches. I watched my parents beam as Nash's best man delivered a glowing toast about friendship and success. Then Bailey's father spoke about new beginnings and family legacy. Finally, the planner handed me the microphone. When Nash asked me to give a toast, I began, my voice steady. I thought about declining. After all, what could I possibly say about my brother that everyone here doesn't already know? Nash's smile wavered slightly. But then I realized, I know something about Nash that none of you do. I know exactly who he is when the cameras aren't rolling and the champagne stops flowing. The room fell silent. Bailey gripped her water glass, knuckles white. A year ago, Nash came to me with an amazing investment opportunity. He said it was my chance to prove myself to the family, to finally contribute something meaningful. Mom shifted uncomfortably in her seat. Dad suddenly became very interested in his napkin. I gave him everything I had, $200,000 of savings, money I'd earned through years of hard work. He promised to double it in 6 months. I clicked a small remote in my hand. The reception hall's screens flickered to life, displaying bank statements and timestamps. Instead, he bought this. Click. The yacht photos appeared. And this. Click. The penthouse documentation. And of course, this. Click. The engagement ring receipt. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Nash stood up, face red. Jess, stop! But that's not even the best part, I continued, my voice carrying over his protest. The best part is what he planned to do with your generous wedding gifts. The screens showed Nash's recent emails to offshore accounts, his plans for the registry money laid bare. You see, my brother has a pattern. He finds people who trust him, takes everything they have, and moves on to his next target. I was just the practice run. Bailey's family fortune was the real prize. Bailey stood now, tears streaming down her face. Is it true? Was any of it real? Nash reached for her hand. Baby, she's lying. She's jealous. The apartment on Fifth Avenue. Bailey cut him off. The one you said you'd never heard of. Show them your key. The room erupted in whispers as Nash's face drained of color. Jessica, that's enough. Mom stood trembling. You're ruining everything. No, Mom, Nash ruined everything. You and Dad just helped him do it. I turned back to the guests. But here's the real twist. While Nash was busy spending my money, I was building something real. The screens changed again. showing my company's portfolio, client list, and revenue reports, numbers that made even the business tycoons in the room raise their eyebrows. So consider this my wedding gift, Bailey. The truth about the man you almost married. And Nash? I raised my champagne glass. Consider this karma. The room exploded into chaos. Bailey's father stormed toward Nash, who was desperately trying to explain. Mom collapsed into her chair, while Dad stared at my business numbers, mouth agape. Security! Nash shouted. Get her out of here! Your security works for my company now. I smiled. In fact, half the services at this wedding were provided by my clients. Funny how things work out. Bailey approached me, mascara streaked but head high. Thank you. I just wish. She glanced at her ring. I wish I'd known sooner. Better now than after he spent your family's money. Nash made one last desperate attempt. Everything I did for us, for the family name. The family name? I laughed. Look around, Nash. Your reputation is finished. No one will trust you with $1 after this. But me? I gestured to the screen still displaying my success. I'm just getting started. As security led Nash away from his own wedding reception, I caught my parents' eyes. They looked lost, their golden child's facade finally shattered. Jess, Mom reached for me. We didn't know. Yes, you did. I stepped back. But that's okay. I don't need your approval anymore. Blair appeared at my side, grinning. Ready to go? Patricia's hosting a celebration dinner. I took one last look at the chaos behind me, the whispered conversations, the shocked faces, the ruined wedding that had become Nash's reckoning. Yes, I said, heading for the door. I think my work here is done. The morning after the wedding, I sat in my office, watching the social media storm unfold. Nash Exposed was trending, with guests sharing their own stories of my brother's past schemes. My phone hadn't stopped buzzing since I'd walked out of the reception. I scrolled through the messages. Mom, please call us. We need to talk. Dad, your company. Why didn't you tell us? Nash, you've ruined everything. I hope you're happy. Bailey, meeting with lawyers today. Thank you again. A knock at my door interrupted my reading. Patricia walked in, carrying coffee and newspapers. You made the business section, she said, dropping a paper on my desk. The headline read, Digital Marketing Mogul Exposes Society Wedding Scandal. How are you feeling? She asked, settling into a chair. Before I could answer, Blair burst in. You need to see this. Nash just tried to board a flight to the Caymans. Airport security stopped him. I sipped my coffee. Bailey's father froze all their joint accounts last night. He won't get far. My office phone lit up, the lobby desk. Miss Robertson, your parents are here. I shared a look with Patricia and Blair. Send them up. They entered moments later, looking smaller somehow. Mom's perfect makeup couldn't hide her red eyes, and Dad's usual confidence had vanished. Nice office, Dad said, looking around. Very impressive. What do you want? Mom stepped forward. We saw the numbers, Jessica, your client list. Why didn't you tell us you'd built all this? Would you have believed me? I gestured to the chairs. Or would you have assumed Nash was behind it somehow? They sat, exchanging guilty looks. We got it wrong, Dad admitted. With Nash, with you, with everything. That's an understatement. The police called this morning, Mom said quietly. They're investigating Nash's financial records. They found other victims. I know. I pulled up a file on my computer. 7 people before me, all with similar stories. Bailey's lawyers are building a case. How long have you known? Long enough to do something about it. I turned my screen toward them. While you were planning his wedding, I was gathering evidence. Every transaction, every lie, every person he hurt. Dad leaned forward. Let us help make this right. We can pay you back. I don't want your money. I stood walking to my window. What I wanted was for you to believe in me, to see me, just once. We see you now, Mom whispered, because I forced you to, because I built something so big you couldn't ignore it anymore. My phone buzzed. A text from Bailey. Nash's apartment was empty. He's been selling everything. Police think he has accounts we don't know about. He'll run, Dad said, reading the message over my shoulder. He always runs. Not this time. I pulled up another screen. Every airport, hotel, and car rental agency in the city uses my company's systems. He's not going anywhere. Blair's phone chimed. They found him, trying to check into a motel under a fake name. Owner recognized him from the news. Mom started crying softly. Dad just stared at my success wall, shaking his head. What happens now? He asked. Now? I sat back at my desk. Now I run my company, build my legacy, live my life. Without us? Mom's voice cracked. That depends on you. I met their eyes. I don't need your approval anymore, but if you want to be part of my life, you'll have to accept that I'm not the daughter you thought I was. I'm better. Dad nodded slowly. We'd like to try, if you'll let us. My office phone buzzed again. Miss Robertson, the Thompson Group CEO is here for your meeting. Send him up. I stood, straightening my jacket. I have work to do. They got the message, rising to leave. At the door, Mom turned back. We're proud of you, Jessica. We should have said that a long time ago. After they left, Blair and Patricia stayed. Well? Blair asked. How does revenge feel? I looked at my phone's latest notification, a news alert showing Nash in handcuffs. Then, at my office, my success, everything I'd built from the ashes of his betrayal. It feels like freedom, I said, but mostly, it feels like justice. Patricia raised her coffee cup. To justice, then, and to the empire you built while serving it. Blair joined the toast. And to family, the ones we choose, not the ones who choose us. I smiled, clinking my cup against theirs. Through my window, I could see my parents getting into their car, shoulders bent with the weight of their realizations. Nash was facing consequences. Bailey was free. And me? I was exactly where I was meant to be, at the top of my game, surrounded by people who saw my worth from the beginning. To justice, I agreed, and to finally writing my own story,